Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eddie Marcus again. It is an absolute pleasure to be able to make this post for you on this Sunday morning. While so many of us are gathered together in different fellowships honoring the creator of this universe and coming together in brotherhood and listening to a messenger give us the wonderful message that is supposed to lift us and inspire us. And we want to honor you for doing what you feel is the way to show your relationship with the divine. And for those of you who are listening to this post, I hope when you hear it, you can understand the fallacy of that what I just spoke of and refer it to a teaching and understanding, a principled way of conduct that provides for the denial of the truth. You see, ladies and gentlemen, what is basically being said is that there's a lot of chaos in the world today. I'm sure there's no argument there. We're going through all kinds of problems and situations of life. And the reason that we're doing this is because we do not know what is right. And not knowing what is right, we don't do what is right. Now, that's really not an excuse because we should know what is right. But we gave up that authority of knowing what is right by listening to another, such as gathering in these churches today, in groups, fellowshipping together, listening to another, which is of another group about the same Father. Yet the messages that we bring forth are different, which is okay if it worked good for the common cause, which is to be evidenced by the society in which you live. And yet we are here today because there is so much chaos in the world today. Let me ask you something, ladies and gentlemen. Do you know my mom? Some of you may say you do. But I want to ask you this. Do you know her as well as I? Well, I don't think many of you would take a stance there, for you know I might know your mom. But I dare not say that I know your mom well better than you. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I say that as an example of what it means when we refer to God. When we refer to God, God is the parent, the ultimate parent. We know our parent that we see. But how well do we know our parent that is invisible, that we do not see? Well, you say, how can I know that which I cannot see? Well, the way you know that which you cannot see is by the evidence that is given. That's how you recognize, hey, something is going on. I didn't see it, but there it is. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's a beautiful day today to speak with you about that fantasticness. And so when I speak to you about God, the point that I'm trying to make about that, ladies and gentlemen, is that we don't really know anything about outside of these things that we can't identify with the senses that have been made available to us. However, the expertise has been given so that we can recognize that there is galaxies, there are universes, there are all kinds of things outside of our ability to just see, but with the right advanced technology, we walk into a lot of things. That comes through education, that comes through growth. And so when we see these different kinds of things that's taking place, we have to imagine how fantastic it is that the sun goes where the sun goes, does what it's supposed to do, the moon likewise, the clouds in the sky, the night, the day. Then we look on the earth and we see the plants, the rivers, the valleys. I'm telling you, and everything works in order. The seasons, they come and they go. Man, Now, that tells you something about this parent that we cannot see. And let's make it a little bit more personal. That parent that we cannot see is responsible for you and me, our existence. And I'm telling you, when we really get down to it, we are some fantastic creatures. You think the guy who came up with the computer came up with something? Nothing like this. Look at us, ladies and gentlemen. Think about the stuff that happens within. We think about the systems that have been put together. Systems that allow us to walk upon this earth, standing tall, strong, short, fat, big, ugly, whatever you want to call it. But we got systems such as, we know we got to breathe. Every last one of us got to breathe. And we breathe. If you're walking around here, you breathing, and you've been breathing from the time you were a baby to however old you are now, you still breathing. Probably was a time that it never stopped. And we got the circulatory system. Every last one of us got it. Everybody got it. Everybody, you call that everybody? Everybody got it. And it works well for the purpose for which it was created. We got this digestive system. Look how you put it together, ladies and gentlemen. Put all that junk in you. Now you got to let the junk do whatever it's supposed to do. But the stuff that's real junk, I got a way out of there. Got a nervous system. I mean, you know, sometimes your nervous system can get going and you don't even know anything about what's really going on. You know, because sometimes you get your nerves, you can feel some nerves jumping, you can feel that. But then there are other systems. When your hair starts standing up on the back of your neck, I'm telling you, boy, this is a power that is something else, has its own immune system. And one system we all know about is the reproductive system. We all come through a reproductive system, and we continue humanity through the reproductive system. Every last one of us play a role one way or another designed in that particular thing. You saw, just to mention a few, this is how we look at this and say, this is how this invisible parent works. And every now and then, ladies and gentlemen, you know, something might intervene, something might come into there. And what you call it? It's like a cancer. You know what it does. No one want to have anything to do with it. Diabetes, these are things that interrupt these systems for one reason or another. Maybe we played a part in it, and maybe something else that we are unaware of played a part in it. But once those systems start being defiled, then things start breaking down. We try to, if we can't fix it, then we try to treat it. And ultimately, we find some way to maintain it, or it will overcome us. Well, see, that tells you how that breakdown comes into play. As clear as day. And here we are, as human beings, trying to work in a system. And as we recognize our invisible parent, how he just works all the stuff in perfection, when we can recognize and respect our invisible parent, then we be like that parent. You know, everybody want to be like their parent. But there's, you know, your mother, your father that had God let us come here with through, you know how they like for us to be like them. But imagine that invisible parent, the one that does all these things. What about being like that parent, especially when it comes down to us? Well, the only thing we can really do for being like that parent is what we were created to do. The role that we were made to play in the perfection of humanity on earth. But we don't have that perfection because we don't know what it is. And see, that is, maybe you want to say, not our problem. We didn't start it, but we're keeping it going. And we're keeping it going because we don't know what is right. You know, I can tell you this, every last one of you want what? You want to live. You want nothing to take you from living. You want your needs, you want your wants, and you want your desires. You want to live in peace. You want to be prosperous. You want to have freedom. You want joy in life and your dreams fulfilled. Every last one of you want that. Every last one of you. And so you don't know how to get there. So what has happened, you have a bunch of different various systems of men who don't know what they're doing, Sometimes they're trying to make you believe that they're trying to work toward meeting that which I just described, that each and every last one of us want, need, and desire. So they try different things like capitalism, different things like socialism and communism and dictatorships. These are various means that people try. Men have tried to either progress us toward that higher standard of life or to deceive us and take us under. They use these systems, and none of these systems address what you and I want, need, and desire. And they put each other down, trying to say that their way is the way. Put the capitalists put the socialists down. The socialists put the capitalists down. And every last one of them are failing what God, that perfecter, wants. And what that basically means, that as long as we don't have that perfection, that we've rejected it. There's no one that knows. Because if you know, something's going to happen. And let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. You have to have a real relationship with God. That's what I'm trying to get to you to know. And when you see people walking around talking about, my Bible says, they don't have a relationship with God. If they had a relationship with God, they wouldn't even say that. They don't want you to know that they're relying on some book, because they want you to know that they got the authority to speak. No shame in the game. They know that they know, and they know that you don't know. See, you got somebody there right now named Donald Trump, who's a man who's walking around being a sinner man. And the reason he's bold about it is because he knows that all of us are sinner people too. And sometimes the things we say are trying to say we're not as bad as the other. But in truth, bad is bad. Ain't no such thing as a little bad. Bad is bad. And so he knows that. And while you was together right today in this presidential election trying to choose who's going to beat Donald Trump, knowing that you got to either find a bigger devil or do the right thing. But like you have always failed to do the right thing by trying capitalism and now challenging socialism as if it's some big enemy. Well, everything that denies all of these people food, clothing, shelter, education, health care, and the opportunity to play the role in which they were created to give in the process of creating all of that which we need to meet all of these different desires that we have, different wants, that God has designed to happen when we listen and try to be like our invisible parent. See, ladies and gentlemen, that's what I've been spending my time trying to tell you about. Now, I know you have been trained, and I have been too, so I'm not going to knock you, about life according to our physical parent. And I know you are aware that we are really in terrible trouble. Sometimes we say we're not so bad because somebody else is worse. That's no excuse. Whatever worse they are in, if we don't fix our situation right now, next week we'll be in the worst that they're in. And so that's all because we're listening to our physical parents and the systems that's been built based upon understanding. And you in America live in a system that has said you're going to separate God from the system. So all what you do is going to be based upon what men think, what human beings refer to based upon their experience and exposure, denying the greatest parent of us all, that invisible parent that cares about every last one of us. You see how you sit up there and let somebody make you, deceive you, to put God down? Don't you know right now that the way they're playing this political thing, the way they got you going, everybody knows that Trump doesn't represent good in any kind of fashion. But he has a lot of supporters. And everybody knows that the Democrats and those Republicans, they're trying to resist Trump. They're talking about progressives. They're talking about moving to the center. And everything that they're talking about, none of it includes everybody from the far left to the far right, giving them the same opportunity, the same freedom, the same joy, the same heaven all across the scope. Not a single one of you are talking about that. But you fall in one of these categories. You do not fall in the category of love like that invisible parent, God. No, you don't even represent God. Why don't you? You just in church right now. When you come by, somebody ought to hear this and call you up and ask you, why don't you represent that invisible God? They're going to give you an answer. And they're going to say, my book says. Ladies and gentlemen, somebody say, well, what if some people listen to you, Eddie, and don't vote with that party that is going against Trump? What if they listen to you and Trump gets back into office? I say to you, ladies and gentlemen, if that happens, don't blame me and don't blame God. Because if any of you stand against all of us enjoying heaven on earth, then every last one of you deserve hell if that's what it takes to bring you around. Now, that is a beautiful message, now isn't it? God loves you because he's giving you this information for you to make a decision. And the decision that you make, ladies and gentlemen, reflects your relationship with the invisible parent. And you will be experiencing the fruit of the seed. What you have sown definitely will be what you will reap. I want to thank you so very much, ladies and gentlemen, for giving me this your time. It's been a beautiful morning. If not for you, indeed for me. And until next time, this is me saying goodbye.